like to call to order the public hearing of the Board of Education for June 12, 2023. Roll call, please.
Mr. Booth.
Here.
Mrs. Marks.
Here.
Mrs. Buffet.
Here.
Mr. Schmidt.
Here.
Mr. Zinnerman.
Here.
Mrs. Havikhorst. Mr. Bosch.
Here.
6 present.
Thank you. We have a presentation on the e-learning day plan renewal.
Real quick, I'd like to make a
Oh.
motion to nominate Jim Schmidt as the secretary for this evening's meeting.
Second.
I have to be
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Yes, I know we have several guests in attendance, and we look forward to recognizing you and your accomplishments, so thank you for being with us. Before we do that, though, we have a public hearing that we have to cover one bit of business first, and that is the renewal of our district's e-learning plan. So prior to COVID, this is before COVID ever happened, the state started to allow districts to provide e-learning, or basically what you and I, older folk in the room, will call a snow day. So in the back, when weather was bad, we would have a snow day, school would be canceled, it would be made up at the end of the year. And the state, starting in, let's say, 2018, started to allow districts to create e-learning plans where you could basically, instead of canceling school, you could offer e-learning or learning from home. And so in 2020, we adopted a plan that provided for e-learning. That plan served us for 3 years. Then the pandemic happens, and so people start to confuse e-learning and what came to be known as remote learning, which is what we had to do because of the pandemic. So I want to make sure people are clear, this is not remote learning. This is simply a renewal of our e-learning plan that was put in place before the pandemic ever happened. So the law requires that we have a public hearing to share that we are going to ask for an extension of that, which we'll do during the regular portion of our meeting tonight. The plan, we did talk to our union representatives. They are on board with the plan that you see in your packet, and it is the same plan that we had actually set forth in 2020. There are a few small modifications just in terms of communication with teachers, et cetera, but otherwise the plan that you see in your packet is the same thing. And this plan, if approved tonight, will serve us through the year of 2026.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions on the e-learning plan? Are there any comments from the audience? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Education for June 12, 2023. Roll call, please.
Mr. Booth.
Here.
Mrs. Marks.
Here.
Mrs. Buffet.
Here.
Mr. Schmidt.
Here.
Mr. Zinnerman.
Here.
Mrs. Havikhorst. Mr. Bosch.
Here.
6 present. Oh,
Uh, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Jim Schmidt as the secretary for our regular board meeting.
Second.
I happily accept.
All those in favor?
Definitely not.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. We have approval of minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting of May 8, 2023. Are there any additions or corrections to that set of minutes? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have future dates.
Yes, today summer school began for the district, so we're excited to see students back in the buildings. Just a reminder that 1 week from today, next Monday, is Juneteenth, which is now a state holiday. So there will not be summer school. The district will be closed next Monday, June 19th. And also because of the Independence Day holiday, which this year is on a Tuesday, the district will be closed on Monday and Tuesday of that week as well. So July 3rd and 4th will be closed.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a presentation tonight. I am so excited to welcome our amazing track stars from James Hart. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. McAllister.
Yes, and I will turn this over very quickly to one of our coaches, Jenny Donahue. But I coach track. You may or may not know this, but I coached track and field for many years at the high school level, and I have an appreciation of A, how difficult the sport it is, and B, that literally fractions of seconds make the difference between winning and losing, or inches as it may be. So your accomplishments at the state meet this past week were really, really incredible. And when you look at our team finishes, we had several of our teams between 7th and 8th grade boys and girls. Several of our teams finished in the top 10, largely because of the performance of the individuals seated here. We had 3 state champions, 1 relay and 2 individuals, which is really, really incredible. I'm a member of the IESA Board of Directors. You may not know that. And we just had a meeting this past week, and there were over 2,000 athletes who participated in the IESA state finals. So the fact that you were incredible enough to bring home trophies with that vast a field is really remarkable. So we wanted to make sure we recognized you for your accomplishments. I'm going to turn this over to, again, one of our coaches, Ms. Donahue, and she can introduce her athletes and talk a little bit about them. So, Ms. Donahue, if you'd like to come forward and bring your athletes with you.
All right, come on, guys.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me I was speaking.
Oh, sorry. You just talked about the great season and the great day. How's that?
Will is on his way, he should be there.
All right. Well, this is Lee Watkins. He ran in our amazing 8th grade boys 100 relay. And this is Seth Harris. He's our 7th grader, and he finished first in the hurdles, 7th grade hurdles for the boys, and just amazing. And I just feel very fortunate, my first year coaching track, my amazing athletes, and it's just been a privilege, so I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. So we have certificates for those individuals, and we'll get a picture here with Ms. Thomas. Shelley, do you have a camera?
Sad. This is for you. Promise?
Defending state champions.
They both set records.
Wait, let's get a picture in front of the bulletin boards down the bathroom. That might be a little better Absolutely. Still taking pictures?
Will's coming. Will's coming.
Oh. Perfect. They tell us, Will. Say, there's Will. Willie who brought the hardware, too. All right.
Well done. This is Will Bundy. He's another 8th grader that ran the 100 relay and finished first.
And also, I know everyone in the room is aware HF boys were the state champions in track and field. So they've got a great program to feed into here in the future, next year or the year after. So congratulations.
This is just the beginning for you guys. You're welcome.
And thank you, Ms. Donahue, for your time and effort with our
Also,
athletes.
thank you to the parents
Yeah.
and families, because we know while these kids are fast and they can run well, we know they didn't run back and forth from practice. That you guys got them where they needed to be, when they needed to be there, and encouraged them, and we really appreciate that, because they don't do this alone. They do it with the support of their families. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
And our feelings will not be hurt if you want to go do something else with your evening. You're welcome.
Right.
Well, you guys keep doing what you're doing.
They both compete. They both want to go
All right, see you guys.
Is there anyone in the audience who has come to address the board on any items that are not on tonight's agenda? Do we have any responses to previous comments or concerns?
We do not.
All right. Any board members have any reports? We have the superintendent's report.
Yes, for my report this evening, I thought I would turn it over to our esteemed guests in the gallery to share with you what is going on in their respective buildings or areas. Several of our administrators, since this is summer, are on vacation tonight, so they are not here. They're points far away. But I'll start with Dr. Schnorr from Churchill. Sarah, if you would like to let us know what's going on at Churchill School this summer and what plans you have.
There's no spot to speak.
No, there's not. No microphone, big open room.
Well, it's pretty quiet these days. However, we have, as you mentioned, Dr. McAllister, we have our general summer school that started today. We've had extended school year going on in our building for about a week. That will last throughout June. A lot of the staff members last week attended Orton Gillingham training, which is an approach to reading instruction. So heard wonderful feedback about that. We have a group that is going to be attending the Professional Learning Communities Institute in Madison in July, which will be great. And then we also have another team that's attending an on-site training for Forefront, which is the data collection and data review tool that we've been using to support our professional learning communities. So it's a little bit of a lot of learning and a lot of planning that's taking place right now.
And Dr. Schnorr, for clarification, that's Madison, Wisconsin, not Illinois, correct?
Oh, yes, yes. We'll be going up to Madison, Wisconsin.
Very good. Thank you very much.
You got it.
Yeah. Next, we have Kim Johnson, our James Hart principal.
Good evening, good evening. Like Sarah said, it's been so quiet, and every time somebody says it, I'm like, shh, don't mention it, because the last week of school, between graduation and swimming and skating, we're exhausted. But today was first day of summer school. We've had ESY in the building, and so that's been today, first day kicked off, got people in their places, so we're looking forward to that. And then that for summer school for us is going to go into July a little bit. So we've got some students doing either 3 weeks, or we have some that have to do 6 weeks in addition to ESY. We've got summer writing. We have some teachers that are like, okay, let's get in there and get it done now. And then others I won't see until August, and that's okay. But then other things that we're going to be working on this summer, it's just all of our plans for the fall. Talking about PBIS, what that first week, thinking about like, it's June, but we're already talking about what's that first week going to look like, what's PBIS and SEL going to look like for the school year. Our diversity and equity team will be, school-wide team will be meeting this summer, as well as we're actually going to have a discipline committee. I'm in the data and want to look at things, what's happening where, and then that as a support to our PBIS team. So we got some groups that are going to be meeting this summer, but shh, don't say it's quiet. We like it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. And then last, we have Kevin Keene, our Director of Operations and Maintenance. Sporting a brand new haircut.
Got a wedding this weekend. So. Well, just to start off, everybody knows the extent that we did last year with all the crazy the big improvements we did. So actually, we're still finishing up this project. It still hasn't, it's not 100% done. So that's part of it, tying up loose ends, so we can finally, like they say, take control and just have, and everything's going to be up to us. I'm not calling our outside contractors. So that's, things we want to finish up this year. We did add 2 more pumps we're going to put in at Willow. Blinds project got started here at James Hart. They were probably a little over half done with the school. Should be done hopefully by the end of this week. Move to Churchill next, Willow after that. Let's see. In July, they're going to come, they're going to do the window tinting for all the high windows. We have that set up already. I'm going to continue, I try to do lighting projects like this room here with these different LED lighting I've done outside, all the big areas. And so this year I want to do all the Eve lights here at James Hart and start doing some other hallways. We want to do that. We're cleaning up, as Sarah was, the storage units at Churchill and Willow that have been outside for the last, since the pandemic. I have been told by the ROE, Margot, that you got to get rid of those. So I believe we got most of Churchill's cleaned out, so we'll get rid of that and then we'll move on to Willow. The one here at James Hart isn't too bad. It's not too unsightly because it's kind of blends in with our dumpsters. But it's not bad having one on site, just to have odds and ends we can throw in there. Let's see. Hopefully I can get some parking lot repaired on. They're starting to crumble a little bit. I was talking with Scott, maybe I can work with Morgan if we can try to find some grants and do some bigger work on parking lots, because that's always a struggle. I got some outside, I don't know if anybody had noticed how we cleaned up the front of here at James Hart, big overgrown bushes, everything was taken out. We're gonna take out the overgrown bushes here on this side as well this summer. I got a big half-dead tree at Willow. That's all coming down, that's all in the works already. I always have the gym floor refinished, that's gonna be done this year. And then plus my last bleacher inspection came out and they were like, the wires are fraying underneath the bleachers. They really, so that project is going to be done as well. They're going to rewire the bleachers. So we still have those automatic bleachers, so we're not pushing and pulling to bring them in. So in a nutshell, that's a little bit we're doing this year. It's quite a lot, though. It's always an adventure. Plus cleaning, plus all the other things going on. But yeah. So
very good.
That's it for me.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks. It may be quiet, but it certainly is busy.
Oh,
yeah. Dr. Gibson, you're our other guest. Is there anything you would like to add regarding business office?
No.
I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about Dr. Gibson later. However, I don't want to afford you a missed opportunity in your final Board of Education meeting.
Sure, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
It's always a pleasure to communicate with our administration and school board. I didn't have anything prepared, but we are doing a lot of things. Obviously, the main focus that I have is closing out, some big items, making sure that my work is as clean as it can be for my incoming replacement. We've done a lot of training this year with new staff. We had 2 new people that started. We've been doing a lot of one-on-one training. We've had our retired person for payroll helping out payroll, but also we've brought in we've sent our people to training with the financial system, different divisions, and also we've had 2 separate trainings in that regard for both the payroll and for purchasing, for our new person, that's transportation and purchasing. So that's been going very well. They're really integrating themselves along with our help, of course, Scott and I, with our help into the organization, working together, collaborating, figuring things out. I think it's really a great team that's been built over time. I feel proud of that. Then we also have new payroll. I told you before about the time attendance system that we're using to have people be able to swipe in with these badges, keep their time. And then we have a system that will automatically push the data into our financial system to pay through payroll. So people like Kevin and Kim, actually all of our administrators there, are no longer pushing out the paper that they were pushing. We've still got a few, we're near the end of it. We don't have every timesheet taken care of in terms of being electronic, but we're close. And again, we've had the help, mainly right now with here at James Hart with Kim, piloting the timesheets for what we call extra duty pay. This is a lot of paper. So the staff, teachers, and the support staff have been really, really helpful with getting that done. Kim's led that along with our payroll coordinator, Mary Lane. Mary's really taken that on, and she's been great. So we just have some great people. Let's see if there's anything. There's a bunch of other stuff. Dr. McAllister's going to talk about this just a little bit, the audit. you want me to cover any other, or
Well, when we get to that item, why don't we have you, speak about
at
that?
that time? Okay.
Yeah, that'd be
So,
perfect.
but yeah, we're feeling good, and really happy to have been a part of this organization for many, many years. At least by my count, 13 years is many, many for me. And I do want to say what I'm proudest of tonight is Ron Williamson, my maternity colors, my man. I appreciate that. I love him too. This is going thing. I know you wanted to.
Can we strike?
I know you wanted to.
We're on to consent agenda items now.
I think that's it. For me.
Very good. Yeah, we'll talk about the audit here in a little bit, but thank you. That's it for
Okay.
superintendent.
We have several consent agenda items tonight. The first is to authorize the chief school business official to pay the usual and customary bills for July 2023. We have a personnel report.
Yes, if you look in your agenda, you will see several personnel items that are happening. Obviously, the usual people coming and going. There is one person I'd like to specially note on here, though. I did receive an intent to retire letter for 3 years, so we have a little bit of time, but as it would be, somebody in this room is going to be retiring in 3 years. So Shelley Peck turned in her letter for 2026. So Shelley and I will retire together and look forward to working for 3 more years with you. So, but otherwise, lots of personnel happenings. We are still hiring. The principals are doing a great job of finding people in the midst of a challenging job market. We still have some openings, but we're continuing to find people. So you'll be seeing those under employment, hopefully tonight, but also in July.
Do we have to approve Shelley's?
We do not.
Okay. Any questions on the personnel report?
Quick question. We did have a situation with a resignation that and I can't
Just-
Oh, okay. There was a resignation during the school year. I think it was in the fall.
Like shortly after the start of the school year?
Right. Is
Yes.
that person on the list now? I can't remember the name of the individual, but we did not accept the resignation.
No, they're not on this list. That person did resign, even though we didn't accept it. And then we pursued, through the Illinois School Code, you can pursue suspension of license if somebody violates the terms that are set forth in the school code, which is to provide 30 days notice, which did not happen. So even though it's been nearly a year, that is still playing out with the State Board of Education. So, but no, that person is not on this person.
Any other questions on the personnel report? Okay, we need to approve the long-range strategic planning goals.
Yes.
Mr. McAllister.
Yeah, so all of you were part of our long-range strategic planning in the month of May. The individuals seated in the back were part of that process, along with nearly 50 other staff members and community members. So nearly 60 people total took place. So what you see in your agenda are the 12 goals that we established. And then also there will be action plans that the administrative team will put together to make sure that those goals happen. And we will be reviewing those on an annual basis. So what you see here are the 12 goals that we agreed upon during the 2 nights of strategic planning.
Great, thank you. And thank you to everyone who was involved in that. It's a really important job that the community does together to set the direction for our district going forward. All right. Any questions on the long-range plan? We have approval of revisions to the student discipline handbook.
Yes, there is another requirement in the school code that on an annual basis, we convene a group of parents, we being the district, convenes a group of parents to review our discipline handbook and recommend changes. And so I convened, I led that group, and I met with 6 individuals who brought some really, really great ideas, which you can see. It's the version that you have shows the changes. It looks like a lot of changes. Most of what you see there are movement So the verbiage didn't change, but its location within the document changed, if that makes sense. But I'd like to thank these individuals for serving on the committee: Melinda Connor, Joe Grief, Cecilia Garcia, Michelle Johnson, and Luke and Tina Morris. Those were my parents who served on that committee. And they all, again, they did their homework prior to arriving, and we had great conversation for the hours that we met together. So what you see there are the recommended changes, and those will go into the handbook, if adopted, that is posted on our website each year.
Great, thank you. Any questions on the discipline?
Just a comment, I read through it, I like all of the changes, not only the additions, but I also like the reorganization of the content, so that was very well done.
Yeah, and thank you. And that was actually a recommendation specifically from one of the members. The old version, if you look online right now, has all of the categories, if you will, in alphabetical order. And what we attempted to do with this change is categorize them by content. So we have a section that is devoted to, let's say, attendance issues, behavior issues. So we put it that way so that I think it'll be easier for people to find information when they're looking.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We need to adopt new and revised policies.
Yes, so this is board policy, and this is the 400-page document. Much bigger, but as you're aware, we became members of Press Plus. So Press is the State Board of Education, or not, it's the Illinois Association of School Boards, IASB. They have recommended policy changes for all school districts. And so we've been a member of Press for many, many years. However, the process, anytime we would make changes, literally we would have to go in and manually change them, adopt them, update the documents, upload the documents. Now what happens is they send all of this to us electronically. They recommend the changes, which you can see, including all of the additions highlighted for you. And then we merely go to their platform, if adopted, hit the button, and the policies are automatically changed and posted online. So it's a much simpler process to stay up to date with the policy changes, which are happening all the time. What you have here, they come out 4 times a year with recommended policy changes. These changes represent 2 of the last quarterly documents because we are new members. Moving forward, this will be done on a quarterly basis. We just got the brand new recommendations last week, so we'll be coming back to you here in a month or 2 with more changes that are recommended through Press. But that's what you see there. And we did at our last board meeting have a first reading of these so people could get their eyes on them and review all the changes because they were pretty vast. But that's what you have.
Great. Any questions on the policies? Right.
2 more pages.
We need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented in items 7A, 7B, 7C, 7D, and 7E.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bosch?
Yes.
Mrs. Buffet?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Zinnerman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mrs. Marks?
Yes.
All ayes.
Motion carries. We need an executive session to discuss student discipline. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Buffet?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Zinnerman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Bosch?
Yes.
Mrs. Marks?
Yes.
All ayes.
Motion carries. We will be back shortly. Open session, we have several action agenda items. The first is the second payment of May 2023 bills and the first payment of June 2023 bills. Are there any questions? Is there a motion?
Moved upon the recommendation of the Chief School Business Official of the Board of Education, authorize the second payment of May 2023 bills and the first payment of June 2023 bills in an amount not to exceed $2,846,298.57.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Zinnerman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Bosch?
Yes.
Mrs. Buffet?
Yes.
Mrs. Marks?
Yes.
All ayes.
Motion carries. We need to award food service and meat product bids for the 2023-2024 school year. Can I give them that? food?
Yeah, we got to pay for the food, yeah. I think the attachment has all the details as far as pricing and vendors, but thank you to Dana Freeze and John Gibson for getting those bids and recommending us.
Any questions or comments?
Just one, just out of curiosity. I mean, it's been like years since we've had multiple bids. I mean, how many vendors are there out there that could do this? Do we have any idea? It just
Not
aren't bidding.
many, but Dr. Gibson,
Yeah.
the question on the food bids, do you know how many actual bids we received? Are there many vendors, or are we still down to just one or two who actively try to get our service?
Typically 2 vendors. Often we've had one vendor because one of these 2 would not have the paperwork or they lost something. But yeah, there were 2 that participated. GFS and used to be called Fox River Foods Performance. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, thank you. Yes, okay.
Thanks. No, just curious.
One other thing, I know that there's a new grant available from the state for, to support small farms, and they're giving school districts free produce from small farms. So I think we should look into that,
Absolutely. Do you think this is free?
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Free sounds like the right
Sounds
price. Okay, is there a motion?
Moved upon the recommendation of the food service director that the Board of Education award the grocery and meat products to Performance Food Service Fox, Montgomery, Illinois, the cost not to exceed $92,554.57. And Gordon Food Service, Grand Rapids, Michigan, at a cost not to exceed $159,355.26 for the 2023-2024 school year.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Bosch?
Yes.
Mrs. Bethay?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Marks?
Yes.
All ayes.
Motion carries. We need to approve the district's e-learning plan renewal for fall 2023 through spring 2026.
That's the plan that we talked about at our hearing to start the evening.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approve the renewal of the district's e-learning plan for fall 2023 through spring 2026.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Bosch?
Yes.
Mrs. Bethay?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mrs. Marks?
Yes.
All ayes.
Motion carries. We need to approve a payment of $22,500 to ProCare Therapy for the buyout of a contract.
Yes, given the staffing shortages, especially in the areas of special education, we have used a contract agency, ProCare, to find special education teachers. It's not our first choice at all, but out of necessity to find certified teachers, that's what we have had to do. And we are not alone in that regard with regard to not being able to find enough certified teachers. Last year, Emily is a teacher that we employed through the contract agency. She did a great job at James Hart. Kim can attest to this. Her team was really, really high on her and asked us, and we wanted to renew her, and we actually hired her at a previous board meeting for next year. Upon review of her contract, ProCare isn't just going to let her go because, again, they're a contract agency. So part of the contract requires that we pay this fee to release her from her contract. None of us wants to be paying contract agencies fees to get employees. However, as I pointed out in my notes to you previously, this is a cheaper option for us than paying ProCare to employ Emily for another year because they charge very high rates. And so even though $22,000 seems like a lot to release her, it is still less expensive than what we would be paying if we were to employ her through the contract agency again. So we are still looking for special ed teachers, even with Emily's employment. So whatever we can do to find teachers, we are trying to do, but it is a tough job market.
And I'm just going to echo that in case anyone from the Chronicle wants to pick up on it. We, along with many school districts, but a school district like ours that is a great place to work, really encourages people who are qualified to talk to us about working here, because we need good special ed teachers, along with some other positions that we need good people for, and people who live in our community or nearby communities, we would love to have them be part of our 153 family.
Scott, do those teachers then like sign like a 2-year contract with this company? Is that how that, or
It's
like a multi-year contract?
it's annual, but basically it's a no-compete clause, you know, so we can't just poach their employees, yeah, so, yeah, it's a no-compete clause is what it is.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the ProCare therapy buyout?
Moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the payment of $22,500 to ProCare Therapy for buyout of contract.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bosch?
Yes.
Mrs. Bethay?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Zinnerman?
Guess they don't love the kids. Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mrs. Marks?
Yes,
All ayes.
motion carries. We have an increase in lunch prices for fiscal year '24.
Yes, there is a memo in your packet, but basically the state board requires us to review our lunch prices each year to ensure that with our free lunch program, the monies collected from the state are not being used to subsidize lunches for paid students. And so when we review this, Dr. Gibson and Ms. Preeves, when they review this, we've actually found that we still have catch-up to do in this regard, but we are limited to increasing our fees so much per year. And so in this case, we're recommending an increase of 10 cents on our lunch prices for next year, but it is because of the paid lunch equity requirement through the State Board of Education.
Okay, any questions on the lunch prices? Is there a motion?
Moved upon the recommendation of the chief school business official that the board approve the increase in lunch prices by 10 cents to $3.25 for students and $4.25 for staff for the 2023-2024 school year.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bethay?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Zinnerman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Bosch?
Yes.
Mrs. Marks?
Yes,
All ayes.
motion carries. We have disciplinary action regarding student 33559.
Yes, we just met in closed session to discuss this. All of the details you're aware of. The recommendation is for the student to be externally placed, expelled, but held in abeyance for the next 2 school years.
Is there a motion?
Moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board affirms the out-of-school suspension of the student identified in today's closed session. The board finds the student eligible for expulsion for a period beginning immediately and ending the last date of the 2024-25 school year. The board authorizes the assignment of the student by the superintendent to an appropriate alternative placement. The superintendent and the board council will prepare and deliver notice and findings of the board consistent with the discussion of the board in closed session.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Zinnerman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Bosch?
Yes.
Mrs. Bethay?
Yes.
Mrs. Marks?
Yes,
All ayes.
motion carries. We have a resolution.
We do have a resolution. Dr. Gibson,
Yes.
if you would come where we can see you on camera, please. You're all aware, John Gibson gave us 4 years' notice long ago that he was going to be retiring in June of 2026, or I'm sorry, 2023. And believe it or not, it is 2023 and we're down to literally a handful of days. So John has worked with us since 2010, and he mentioned earlier that's 13 years as a school business official in one district, which he knows better than any of us that that's a really long time to be in a position like this. It's high stakes, and people often think school business officials, when you're in charge of a budget, and we're a small school district, relatively speaking, you're in charge of a budget that's $25 million, right? So that's a tremendous responsibility. And John takes great pride in his work. He's wonderful to work with the business office staff, the staff of 7 to 8 people, and certainly when I took over a couple of years ago, he was one of the people that I leaned on heavily and continue to lean on heavily for his input and experience in this field, which again, over 30 years in finance and many years in school finance. So, John, thank you for everything that you've done for me, for the board, and most importantly for the kids. John, just a month ago, he's up on stage at our music concert playing the trombone because that's one of his loves, right? Is sharing his love of music. So to be an inspiration and a model for kids, and again, the resolution will kind of speak to this, but his love of space and going into science classes and talking about astronomy with kids. I mean, things like that show that he's more than just a finance guy. He has a lot of passions and of course a loving wife and daughter. What's most exciting, of course, is that you're now going to have that time to spend more time with them as well. So enough talking for me. We do have
Jim, you want to read that?
a resolution for you.
Let me begin by thanking Alex for nominating me to be secretary and affording me the honor to read said proclamation. Mr. Gibson. Whereas John Gibson has served as the Homewood School District 153 Chief School Business Official since 2010, and whereas John Gibson understood that sound district finances form the basis for the educational well-being of our students by providing our staff with the highest quality materials and teaching environment. And whereas John Gibson played a critical role in the successful passage of 3 separate education funding referendums during his tenure. And whereas John Gibson was a collaborative and supportive administrator whose welcoming personality and demeanor made him approachable and engaging. And whereas John Gibson has always displayed his commitment to student learning beyond the classroom by sharing his love of space and music with our students. And whereas John Gibson was a proponent of equity, representation, and equality, and championed these causes to the betterment of Homewood School District 153. Therefore, be it resolved that the Homewood School District 153 Board of Education, Cook County, Illinois, recognizes and honors John Gibson's many contributions to the Homewood Public Schools, the community of Homewood, this 12th day of June 2023.
Wow. Congratulations.
Just want to add thank you for taking good care of our district and for making it interesting when our eyes were glazing over. Some of the reports that you were so dedicated to, but you made us understand the challenges that you had and made sure that we took care of the kids and the finances at the same time. And that wasn't always an easy thing to do, but I appreciate that you found a way to get it done. So thank you, and I wish you all luck in your retirement. Enjoy every minute you've earned it.
Thanks, thank you.
Anyone else?
I don't know how we can beat that. I mean, that's pretty accurate. I mean,
Say, John, thanks, John.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Nice working with you.
Is that a special jacket for tonight?
The chief walks down the aisle. Okay, we have employment.
Yes.
Oh, sorry,
we have to accept it.
Oh, we need to accept that.
approve the resolution. Is there a motion?
Moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the resolution as presented.
second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Bosch?
Yes.
Mrs. Bethay?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Zinnerman?
Yes.
Mrs. Marks?
Yes.
All ayes.
Motion carries. We have employment.
Yes, we have 3 individuals to bring to you for employment next year. Ashley Gardner, 10-month secretary at Willow. You may recognize Ashley's name. She's a graduate, a recent graduate, and has worked in our tech department the last couple of years. So we're excited to bring her in to be the face that you'll see when you enter Willow School, replacing Mary Beth Johnson, who's retiring. Megan Slager, PE teacher at Willow, and Kimberly Simpson, 7th grade ILA teacher at James Hart.
Very good. Any questions on the employment? Is there a motion to approve?
Moved upon the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education approve the employment of Ashley Gardner effective August 7th, 2023, and Megan Slager and Kimberly Simpson effective August 21st of 2023, upon the terms recommended by the superintendent, conditioned only upon receipt of a satisfactory criminal background report, and upon receipt no later than August 1st, 2023, of evidence of proper legal qualifications for the positions to be filled.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Bosch?
Yes.
Mrs. Bethay?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Marks?
Yes.
All ayes.
Motion carries. We have discussion items.
Yes, so Dr. Gibson, we did that nice resolution. There's one final bit of business to discuss, right? And this is an exciting one for John, because it's been a long time, a lot of work went into bringing our transition from Thornton Township Treasurer's Office to the Bloom Township Treasurer's Office to fruition. And believe it or not, we are now finishing our second year with Bloom, and we're still tying up loose ends. And unfortunately, because of some of that string that needed to be tightened, it has affected the completion of our audit. So John talked a little bit about finishing up the audit process for fiscal year 22. And then there's going to be a recommended change of auditors out of necessity, which he can also talk about. So, John.
Here or in front of the camera.
Yeah, so it has been a journey. We believe it was an excellent decision, which you supported, for us to change township treasurers to move to the Bloom Township Treasurer. But there's some evidence right now of things that are going on in North Township that really made it pretty apparent that it was a great decision. Again, thank you. And just want to have a moment, Shelley, you remember, there was a moment back when Dr. Mitchell, you, and the treasurer decided he wanted to meet with you too. He complained about his movie, and we had to hold off back then, I think in 2015 or so, but we were able to make the move. So, I was disappointed back then, but we did do that. There were still some transactions that happened in fiscal year 2022 after we moved to Bloom Township Treasurer, and those eventually equated to about $788,000 of transactions that money was owed to us. A combination of some deposits from state and federal monies, and also some transactions of payments that we made that they were supposed to make for us. They were related to the prior year. So I've sent you some information on that before, so you've seen the details. I'm sure that was a lot of that was like that as well. So we finally have gotten that resolved. $1 million, all told in $1.1 million that they paid us. Dr. Couch and I were pins and needles back and forth until we finally got the money in the bank, double-checked it, made them send us reports. Worked closely with the Bloom Township Treasurer as well to get that done. That held up the audit. All of that had to happen. I've been on the phone, emails, chasing that all down. When it finally happened, then the auditor quickly moved it. The auditor was not going to complete our audit until we had that money in the bank and had done the journal entry transactions to record it. So that finally happened, again, like I said, with the Bloom Township Treasurer's help. And actually, as we were sitting here, while I wasn't up front, I was completing the last step with the federal clearinghouse. And we have to clear the audit together. I just submitted that back, because I got an email later this afternoon. So that's done, and the reports, I actually have copies of the reports now that are in emails that we'll be getting to you from our auditor. So that's great. I'm so happy that that's done. Didn't want to leave that for my successor, and so you'll get a report on that probably in July. Or maybe before I leave, then you can talk about it at the next board meeting for approval.
Very good. And then the change of auditor, if you just want to talk briefly
And
about
so,
that.
unfortunately, this auditor is firing us. They said that, without getting too much into the weeds on it, that they were not
couldn't staff us, and they didn't have enough, I guess, they weren't making enough money. They had to raise our prices, you know, pretty significantly, to $40,000 per audit, which they said was, they just didn't really want to do. So they prefer to have a township treasurer and all the school districts associated with it to audit, rather than just our school district, and I think they also have flaws as well. So we did find another auditor. I talked to a couple of auditors when I went to the Peoria, the conference in Peoria, and one of them said, no, we cannot do an audit, you know, we won't be able to get to next year. And another one said, I'll call you back. So you have a little summary in there somewhere. It says it's Whitfleet is the name, W-I-P-F-L-I, Whitfleet. That this is this proposal. The price is pretty reasonable compared to what we were paying to RSM. It's right in the ballpark of what we paid in the third year, right in the 30s, and going up a little bit each year. But that's the proposal that we have. We're going to be reviewing it and doing due diligence to reach out to other school districts that they have as references. But at this stage, you know, it's pretty late in the game to go out and do an RFP. Maybe still come out with the same auditor or not. So we're going to move forward with that, and we'll be presenting that proposal for your approval likely the next board meeting. And I should say, I should tell you this, because of the lateness, the audit's going to be a little late again. But October is when they said they can start, so that means they'll be finished by like 30 something. Eric will be pushing.
Yeah, and long story short, you know, for smaller districts, for them to work with smaller districts, it's just not profitable enough. It's profitable, but not enough for them to want the business. So they again basically said, we don't want to renew the contract, so we were forced to look for an alternative. So glad we were able to accomplish that.
Long term, there may be some other ways to look at it. Maybe bring in ISD to give some different parameters for school districts to follow, so we're not bound by these issues. We have to have 3 auditors in the last 6 years or so, over 6 years. So, you know, it's problematic in that regard, so we'd like to see things change or get the auditor next time to bid on the township and all the school districts. So, you know, maybe somebody will take that up, maybe in retirement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any written communication to the board?
We do. We have a. Next time, let me show you around in here.
Speaking to the mic.
We have thank you notes from staff to the board. I just want to say thanks for always supporting us. Thanks so much. You are the best. Thank you for everything you do for us. I'm not sure which school this is from. The Willow? Yeah, okay. Just 2 thank you notes with, is that Snoopy on the front?
Like Snoopy.
Eating a donut. So, from Willow.
Great.
Thank you, staff.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for coming tonight.